back to Got Reacts. Now recently I've been reacting to a lot of AFL videos. I'm loving it, I'm loving Aussie rules, and so today I thought we'd dive deep into a bit of the history of the AFL by watching History of the AFL, the teams. So without further ado, let's get straight on with this reaction.
The AFL began life as the VFL, or the Victorian Football League.
Okay, so the AFL became out of the VFL from the Victorian League. Victoria, obviously a state in Australia, and so then I guess once it became a whole nation thing, they changed the name to the Australian Football League. Okay, learning already.
Back in 1897. The inaugural season featured 8 teams, all located in one state. Carlton Blues, Collingwood Magpies, Essendon Bombers, Fitzroy Lions, Geelong Cats, Melbourne Demons, South Melbourne Swans and St Kilda Saints, all of which are still a part of the AFL in 2019.
That's crazy that the original 8 founding teams are all still part of the AFL. That's mad. You'd have thought at least one maybe had dropped out. Obviously they don't have, I don't think you have relegation and stuff, which obviously we have in football and like the Premier League. But yeah, crazy that the 8 founding teams are still there.
In some shape or form. In 1908, the VFL expanded to 10 teams, with Richmond Tigers and University joining the league. While Richmond have gone on to become one of the biggest clubs in the AFL, University left the VFL just 6 years after they entered, finishing last in every season from 1911 to 1914.
Yeah, it makes sense to leave after 6 years if you finish in bottom every year, doesn't it? Yeah, it probably isn't the best thing, definitely not for generating fans and revenue, and yeah, being a team, you don't want to be losing all the time.
Losing 51 consecutive games.
51. Even by chance, you've got to think you win at least one of those 51. That's a crazy... I wonder how many other teams can say they lost that many games in a row. Like, of any sport. I'd love to know if there's other teams, but that's crazy stat loss.
The VFL expanded again in 1925, with the addition of the Footscray Bulldogs, Hawthorn Hawks and North Melbourne Kangaroos, taking the total number of teams to 12. Incredibly, the league went unchanged for the next 57 years, but the 1980s...
That's mad. So 57 years, they were quite happy. That must be the 80s have brought a big shake-up then.
And 90s saw a drastic period of change and evolution. In the early 80s, those in charge of the VFL were looking to expand outside of Victoria, and with many of the weaker teams struggling financially, change was needed. In 1982, South Melbourne relocated to Sydney in New South Wales. The Sydney Swans became the first non-Victorian team in the VFL. 5 years later, the Interstate Expansion continued with the addition of the West Coast Eagles from Western Australia and the Brisbane Bears from Queensland.
That's pretty cool, but like that thing about the Sydney Swans moving from Victoria to suddenly outside of Sydney, that's a crazy concept to me, because like that'd be like picking up like Newcastle United and put them in London. It just doesn't make sense, but obviously it happens here in Australia. They do it in the NFL a lot as well. That's crazy that they just pick up a team and move them. It's like such a different concept to me. That's crazy. That is crazy, but it's cool to see that suddenly you've seen that the league is suddenly expanding from more than just Victoria and it's becoming more Australian-wide.
And the crowd down. The AFL hoping for about 20,000. I doubt that they've got it, despite perfect weather. Not a bad kick. Harris has done up. The Bears get their first goal in VFL football. And what a great start for them.
With 3 non-Victorian teams now in the league, the VFL changed its name to the AFL, Australian Football League, in 1990.
So it's been the AFL since 1990. That's cool. That's cool. Cool to know.
To represent its more national status. Further expansion occurred in 1991, with the first team from South Australia, the Adelaide Crows, joining the AFL. 1992 saw a historic moment, with the West Coast Eagles becoming the first non-Victorian team to win the premiership. The Eagles had been a huge success since their inception in 1987, and as a result, the AFL decided to further expand with a second Western Australian team entering the league in 1995, the Fremantle Dockers. Naturally, a fierce rivalry developed between the two sides.
And he could well be playing for his footy future.
Again, the tempers are flying, so the players are very, very close.
What a brawl, jeez Louise.
Look at this, Dennis.
This week, down goes Fletcher, claimed immediately, and we'll have A bounce, and again it's off.
Now that is what you call a rivalry, isn't it?
And God let one fly. Fletcher not amused either.
By 1996, many of the smaller Victorian clubs were still struggling financially, and with further expansion on the AFL's agenda, it was decided that a Victorian team must make way. Many possibilities were discussed, including a possible merger between Hawthorn and Melbourne, but this ultimately wouldn't pan out. It became clear the Fitzroy Lions would not be able to continue on its own, and at season's end, they merged with the Brisbane Bears to become the Brisbane Lions. The merger opened the gates for the Port Adelaide Power to join the AFL in 1997, the second team from South Australia following the Adelaide Crows in 1991. Much like the Eagles and Dockers 2 years earlier, a strong rivalry was born between the Crows and Power. The AFL saw no further expansion over the next decade. In the late 2000s, the AFL became interested in the idea of a second Queensland-based team, with the Gold Coast being the desired destination. Serious consideration was given to the idea of relocating North Melbourne to become the Gold Coast Kangaroos. North Melbourne insisted on staying in Victoria, however, so the AFL decided to create an entirely new expansion team, and in 2011, the Gold Coast Suns entered the league.
My team were pretty new, but we're getting there. Maybe we'll make the last 8 this season, who knows? A bit off the pace at the minute, but who knows? It's exciting, it's new beginnings. It's crazy that they're such a new team. It's like younger than me. That's mad.
He fumbles, he gets around the opponent and runs in and kicks the first goal in the Gold Coast history.
The next year, the AFL expanded further into rugby league territory, with the Greater Western Sydney Giants becoming the second team in New South Wales. In 2019, the AFL consists of 18 teams located in 5 states across Australia. The Northern Territory, ACT, and Tasmania are the only states or territories without their own team. Many believe that a Tasmanian team will enter the league over the next 5 to 10 years.
It's mad to see how much the AFL has expanded over the last 100 and odd years, and how it's changed and evolved from just being a sport that was in Victoria state to suddenly it's now across most of the Australia, and I presume the future lies ahead that there'll be every state in Australia will have a team that represents them. Crazy. It's so cool to see that expansion. Wow, I've thoroughly enjoyed that video. I hope you've enjoyed my reaction. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, and why not share this video on social media. Tell me in the comment section below, what was the craziest thing you learned from today's video? Mine was probably the fact that for so long it took before they really changed the league. That 57 years without change, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy to me. That's mind-blowing. Yeah, that was mine. Tell me yours in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button for more daily reaction videos, and if you subscribed a minute like that, make sure you also click that bell button so you never miss a new video. And if you need even more content from me, make sure you check out my main channel, Gate of Theories, where we do 3 film and TV videos a week. There'll be a link in the description down below if you want to check it out, as well as a link to our new sports channel, Got Sports, where we'll be making sports videos. So if you want a certain sport covered, make sure you go over there and tell us what you want, and we'll try and do one for you. But as always, you've been watching Got Reacts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for another daily video. Thanks for watching, guys.